Did you feel the earth shaking yesterday? Did you hear the terror as deacons at Woke United Methodist were filled with panic? Believe it or not, it was not the tornadic winds of the boodle breeze from the whoopee cushion on The View. The earth shaking, it wasn't caused by the Lizzo when she walked outside to check the mail. The panic, the terror yesterday, it was coming directly from the campaign of cackling Cam Harris. I have said this countless times, but I'm going to say it again. Gimmicks can only take you so far. They can only last for so long. Every gimmick has an expiration date. Do you guys remember Dylan Mulvaney? A couple of years ago, Bob Dylan Mulvaney became famous by documenting their courageous transition from male to female. Remember the infamous Bud Light commercial? Hey, it's me, Bobby D. I don't know what March Madness is, but the one thing I do know is I'm a woman, hear me roar. Ooga! Dylan Mulvaney became a multi-millionaire and a mainstream star temporarily. Once the shock factor wore off and Dylan Mulvaney was required to rely on talent or a complete lack of talent, Bobby D faded from the spotlight. Think about it. When is the last time you heard anything about Dylan Mulvaney? The ending with gimmicks always the same. When there is no talent behind it, when there is no substance behind the gimmick, the polish eventually fades off the turd, which is exactly what's happening right now with Kamala Harris. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. I appreciate all of you guys who have already subscribed and are supporting the second channel. I believe we're already over 500 subscribers in less than 48 hours. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below and subscribe to the second channel. As of right now, the topic tonight's going to be Mark Cuban tanking ticket sales for the Dallas Mavericks. I'll be getting to work on that after I finish the second video here on the main channel later this afternoon. But yesterday, the New York Times and Woke U, they released their latest poll. I don't think I need to tell you which way the New York Times leans. The New York Times leans so far to the left, they are laying horizontally in the woke sea. And obviously, Woke U, they are indoctrinating the next generation of wanker spankers. Yesterday morning, the New York Times, Woke U, or as the media called them, Siena College, they combined forces and released their latest poll. Nearly 1,700 registered voters were included in the poll. The results were alarming for deacons at Woke United Methodist, but for normal people, these are the results we expected. Matter of fact, I thought the lead would be larger. According to the New York Times, the leader of the orange race is leading the leader of the cackling choir 48-47. In the 7 swing states, they are basically tied, but this next part is what I thought was most interesting. The New York Times, they broke down the results by region: Midwest, Northeast, the South, and the West Coast. Now the Trumper, he's got a commanding lead in 3 of the 4 regions. On average, he's leading by about 15 points. The only region that seems to still have faith in Cam Harris is the Northeast, where Cam is leading by 13 points. What the hell's wrong with y'all? I have been telling you guys for weeks now, the honeymoon is over. I've been telling you for weeks, the polish is melting off of this turd. Cam Harris is at serious risk of losing this election, and the problem for Cam, there ain't a damn thing she can do about it. The deacons, they are using the same strategy with Cam Harris that they used for Barry the Obama back in 2008. The deacons are trying to get Cam elected based on vibes. Ooh, look at Cam. She's so cool. She's got good vibrations. I understand why they're using this strategy. For starters, it is the only strategy they can use with Cam because her policies suck and her political career has been a disaster. But the main reason they are using this strategy is because it worked in 2008. Why did it work in 2008? Because Barack Obama was cool. Because Barack Obama was charismatic. Whether you love him or hate him, there is no denying the fact that Barack Obama is a charismatic dude. His entire platform was nothing but an illusion. Hope and change, yes we can, the fundamental transformation of America. You know, he never really explained what he meant by fundamental transformation of America, but people still voted for him anyway because he was so convincing. If you want to know what life would be like in a fundamentally transformed America, you won't have to think about it for long because you're currently living it. This strategy, it worked with Obama because he had the skills to pull it off. Problem for Cam Harris, she doesn't. Cam has the charisma of a wet fart. For most people, Cam had no credibility as pretend vice president, and she damn sure had no credibility as a candidate. If anyone thought Cam was credible, she destroyed that credibility in the last few weeks by completely changing her positions. I know this is difficult for deacons at Woke United Methodist to understand, but people aren't stupid. Just because Cam says, I'm going to be tough on immigration, Commander Cam to the rescue, woohoo! Just because Cam says it doesn't mean people believe it. Matter of fact, when Cam says something, most people are automatically inclined to not believe it. Cam is having a really tough time convincing people that her values have changed. Mainly because she keeps sending mixed messages. She will change positions, then turn around and say, my values haven't changed. Let me show you how bad things have gotten for Cam Harris. Now, if you were to believe the mainstream media, you would think that we live in a racially divided country. Now, for normal people of all races, that is complete bullshit, but that is what the media wants us to believe. With that being the case, you would think Cam Harris would have universal support from the black community, especially with those living in woke cities like Chicago. Over the weekend, a clip was circulating on social media of this lovely black woman from Chicago. She reminded me a lot of the black women that I knew growing up. If there is one thing I learned quickly at a young age, it's that black mamas, black aunties, black grannies, they are not afraid to verbally tear your ass up. Doesn't matter if you're their kid or not, they will discipline you anyway. They don't play. And that is exactly what happened last week at what appears to be a city council meeting in Chicago. Watch it for yourself.
Like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. Yes. And it is coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along, you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done. You leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. What a solution? You give us a fake, black, cackling hand of a candidate with a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Ain't nobody dealing with this. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that look like she can protect this country after y'all have sat up here and let it get her overridden with a bunch of illegal.
They should be paying that woman to preach in churches across America. That was one of the best sermons I have heard in years. You know, we were not seeing things like this in 2008. We weren't seeing things like this in 2012 or 2020. Minority communities, people who have immigrated the right way, they are pissed off, and they've got every right to be pissed off because they did things the right way, and they are watching their tax dollars being used to support people who came here illegally. And it's not only the people living in woke cities who are starting to turn on Cam Harris. The mainstream media, they seem to be doing the same thing. Last week, I showed you guys that segment with Aaron Burnett at CNN torching Cam Harris for her stance on immigration, pointing out the fact that Cam criticized the Trumpers' border walls, then she turned around and used his border walls in her campaign ads. I guess Cam thinks we're stupid. I guess she thought that no one would notice, or maybe, just maybe, Cam thought her pretend friends in the mainstream media would cover for her. Got bad news for you, Cam. They're not. What have I been saying since the beginning? What have I been telling you guys since John Biden stepped down and Cam was selected as the replacement loser? All Donald Trump has to do to win this election is nothing. All he had to do was sit back silently and let Cam Harris destroy herself. And credit should be given to the Trumper because that's exactly what he's been doing. He finally listened. Think about it. Over the past few weeks, how often have you heard negative stories about the Trumper? And when I say negative stories, I'm not talking about your typical media garbage where they're just making shit up. I'm talking about negative coverage over stupid things that Donald Trump has said. How often have you heard about that in the last few weeks? It's been minimal. And look at what happened. Donald Trump is now leading in the polls. I cannot stress this enough. The debate tomorrow night, it is absolutely crucial. This debate does not need to be about Donald Trump. No personal attacks, no hitting below the stilettos. Highlight your plan, point out the negatives in Cam's plan, which is her entire plan, and more importantly, let Cam Harris do all the talking. This needs to be like a first date. You know what smart men do on a first date? They sit back and they let the woman do all the talking. It's a win-win. For starters, it keeps you mysterious, and women love a man with mystery. But also, one of two things will happen. You'll either enjoy listening to her talk, you'll find her interesting, which is critical because if you get married, you will be listening to her talk and talk and talk for the rest of your life. So if she is already getting on your nerves on date number one, probably time to move on. Which leads to number two. She will talk herself into being the ugly duckling. She will reveal things about herself that you don't find attractive, which is exactly what will happen tomorrow night if Cam Harris does all the talking. All the Trumper has to do is nothing. Let Cam Harris talk herself into being the ugly duckling. Really, it's that simple. Question is, will Donald Trump be able to control himself and let Cam Harris do most of the talking? I think he will. I think the Trumper has controlled himself a hell of a lot better the last few weeks. But what about you? Give me your prediction for tomorrow night. Also, do you think the tide is turning on Cam Harris? Is she declining? Is she at serious risk of losing the election? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.